have one of your videos on my YouTube list of you actually doing that stretch. And like last night after I got done doing my deadlifts and squats, my back knotted up real bad. And that, between that and a few other things, man, like loosened it up so much.
Yeah. But the key is you got to be consistent with it, because I could literally do this one time a day and be inconsistent, and it's not going to help me. If I do it, like I make sure I get it in like 3 times a day. Usually morning, because I'm already so brutally tight from sleeping. Sometime midday, maybe after lunch or something, whenever I can get it done. It takes a second, you know? And then later at night, just get it in. As long as you're consistent with it, you should feel a lot better from that. And I keep it simple. I mean, there's other variation. I'll do adductor stretch, and I think that's really critical for benching too. Anytime you can open up the groin and get your feet out, where I like teach you to put your feet, and T-spine mobility, just getting some work in, like on a foam roller. I'll show you this one drill I really like. That's all good. But keep it simple with the stretching and just be consistent. Everyone tries to do so much stuff. But you just need some key stretches. Just get consistent with it. And you don't want it to be a time-consuming thing, because you're not going to want to do it. For like 2 minutes. That's it. It's easy to close off your armpit too. I can just do this, but then using my back to do it is like a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? So it might just be trying to get it down for a bit too.
So here, from here all down.
And that's the difference. But you have to maintain it. So if you're going through reps, everyone will do first rep and then they kind of lax on it. Because the leg drive gives you that false sense of tightness, but you're missing that. And that's key. Because you know what that's going to do too, especially in the shirt, that's going to help you keep the elbows in a bit and under the bar. Because it's easy to kind of come down. You don't have that upper back tightness, you get the dump touch. But if you have that upper back tightness, just look at what happens with my elbow. And that's not because I'm doing this. It's because I'm doing this with the back. You feel a little more comfortable getting that bar out further, because that's going to make a big difference in the shirt. It's going to sink it a little and it's more direct.
Cool. Yeah, I just got to get used to that crunch there. That's a different feeling.
Nothing about it's comfortable. That's how it goes. Right out, right out. Hold it steady, bench. Patience, patience. 3, 2. All right, started locking up a little bit. Started locking up a little bit. That was good. Instead of trying to dump touch it, right, rather just see you lock up with it.
It didn't feel like I was that far off.
No, you're like, it's like that. You did have some periods where it was swinging a good amount, but we'll work on that.
I can feel that.
It's when you create that upper back tightness too, you're gonna find that it is harder to touch, because now it's got to stretch over you because you're arched into it that much more. So it is gonna make the shirt seem a little tighter. If you nail that. Came up good though. There's a lot of pop off that. It's just getting all the way down. And it's all about the landing it, because it'll come up. It'll come up. And then when you bench, definitely practice holds whenever you can. Like you intentionally hold it there as long as you can.
Because I racked that one immediately.
It seemed every bench you took tonight, you're real quick to the rack. It'll just pay off big time. Not only for just reinforcing it, but then at the meet, when you may be so amped that you hit this huge lift, and it's just instinctual for you at that point to just put it back so quick. And that's the worst way to lose the lift. So just pausing all the time just reinforces. Is just what I do. So it could be a few things. I mean, you could be doing something different to meet, but the commands change a lot of things. So what I'm seeing tonight is a lot of things that wouldn't really fly at a meet. Like raw pauses and you're just quick off the chest. It's almost like touch and go. A lot of quick throwbacks. You were quick on the handout a lot of times. I'd actually like to see you just settle that weight for a much longer period of time, almost like they're going to give you a call. Just because everything you've been showing tonight is just totally opposite of what you get at a meet with longer calls everywhere. So that might play a role.
Yeah, okay.
Because the more you do that stuff and kind of ingrain that stuff, it just kind of catches you by surprise a little more to meet. Like, you start thinking, like, man, that guy was holding me long, or why did it take so long to get a call? But if you just do all that all the time, like, I always feel like calls are quick because I'm just used to holding it longer. In fact, a lot of times I honestly just almost completely forget that there's a bench call. And then, because I'm just so used to having to steady the weight anyway, that I hear bench, and I'm like, oh shit, there's commands, isn't there? And I almost just kind of get lucky sometimes with that.
Yeah.
But I'm just so used to holding it, and it's just something I have to do to really let that weight settle, that it's just second nature.
Okay.
So that might play a good role about it.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know what else you might be doing different at a meet. If anything else has switched. You seem really good, at least with being consistent in terms of the setup and how you approach everything when you put things on. So I don't think it's any curveballs there.
Yeah.
And then from like a training perspective too, at least what I'm trying to do now is give you these numbers in your hands more often, you know, like down in boards, but you're working with like temps you might take.
Right.
You know, so that was always a great approach that I took, is I always handled those weights. I worked them down to the boards. I knew if I hit this and it looked like this off of one board, that I have a really good shot in the meet.
Yeah.
You know, depending how it went off of one board and stuff. So.
Like this meet coming up in November, like I'll probably end up opening with 370 or 375.
Yeah, well, that's my hope. It's just kind of like a slow progression from last time. I think especially if you got a new shirt, worked with something even tighter, like tight enough that it almost like makes you nervous. Like, oh shit, I can't even get my hand near the bar. Like, work with something that tight and start breaking that baby in. I think you have a lot of potential to push for that 5.
Yeah.
I think you got a lot more in there just mentally, just believing you can do more there.
Yeah.
So I want to do full commands with you. I know it's going to feel like a shit ton, but the more you learn to steady it and all that, you're going to accommodate to that a lot easier.
Okay.
It's all about the excess momentum in the bar, so if you can get that thing truly still and control it down truly still, it really isn't that much. You can handle so much more because now you're in a perfect path.
Right.
Right, grand finale. You want to bump it a little, Elvis? Is that cool? Just a little bit, yeah.
Here I come,
Oh, let's finish strong. There you go, get those hands right. Jam those hips in, keep that tension. Heels to the floor. I'll call you out. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Steady it, hold it. Hold it. Bench. Stay. 3, 2, 1, up. Spread it. Back. Oh, perfect time and the battery went out. So that was way better in terms of starting with the commands. It still seemed like I'd be interested in seeing it, but it seemed like you were still like trying to sink into the board, or like really quick into the board. But the pause was there. I mean, at least when you hit the board, I had a chance to say up, and I don't think you're used to that.
Yeah.
Definitely not used to that, so that's going to catch you a little by surprise. But that's what you want to get used to.
Okay.
But especially with the board, keeping the position under you it's still a whole different world from chest, and just how like you have to be under the bar, because it's almost angled a little bit, so you really have to be ready to shoot it back.
Yeah.
Because it's already that part of the range of motion where you got to start getting it back. So, but you definitely have a lot to take back to training with.
Yeah. Definitely.
I would take a picture of that for sure.
Yes.
And make sure you know what all that is, and
Yep.
the horizontal drive, upper back tightness, and just the things we talked about. That'll really help.
Right.
So, okay.
Got some work to do with the shirt. I would like to see all the warm-ups you're doing in the shirt and the positioning. Okay. And then when you get angles like different shots too, if you can get up here, because that's where I can see how your elbows are kind of in position and what you're doing with your upper back. When it's just over there all the time, it's like I would never just watch it from over there, so it's tough to analyze much.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so.
Yeah, like I at least try moving it around all the time. I don't know if it seems like I do.
No, you do around, but it's still like over there. I love when people get real creative, and I know you're kind of limited to what you can do, but some guys that are in a power rack, you can hook it up to the top. Right. And I can see like a lot what's going on. I've actually discovered a lot of new things by those different angles. Even if you think it looks dumb or whatever, sometimes I can see like something I needed to.
Okay.
You know, so.